Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
So how can the English language be proper after it had fellatio with Germany, menage a trois with France and England, lap dance with Spain while getting sodomized by Greece without Greece? Fatherless sons, cries on the inside, dies on the inside, with lump in throat, chokes on abandonment, then throws up gang signs. It's called set tripping. Blood killer, rise up. Crip killer, rise up. Buck, buck, buck. No more toys, trains, and trucks because of colors. Double Dutch turned double jeopardy as they jumped in to raise their chest cavity, but faces are scarred like ancient pottery. Better the odds found in lottery from past going like Monopoly, but who's playing their psychology? Go figure the technology. No Rorschach ink blots could untie the knots of a mind on boycott, poking at imaginary dots from stress-induced blood clots. So going bananas over bandanas is characteristic. Now gutters run with ruby red mystic from fingers that flicked, solely designed to set trip. Their rage that is waged is juxtaposed to the tightness of their braids, so they pass it on like AIDS. Now streets are paved with anatomy, from being John Blaze to make splattered walls catch acne, from turf worn over tubes and lobbies. Homicide is a hobby. So finding the missing Lego is like counting the lines on the face of an Eskimo. Might as well put faces on bottles of Henny and Cisco, courtesy of a false bravado on full throttle. For their scripted formats brings about tits for tats, stats and gats, mugshots and photomats at upstate habitats, for they are prison industrially complexed, used as Texas instruments, such as stocks, bond, dollars and cents, and high-priced tenements because of colors. The old days of Pyru are through, for principles fall short of being consciously political. Situation got critical from being Willie lynched to their umbilical, for drive-bys to them are nutritional, like the blood that is drank in a satanic ritual. We say, don't let plaids turn into toe tags and black rags over do-rags, like numbers pulled out of grab bags. For wax ears be like Australian for beers pimped by the cheers of profiteers. For to set trip is the back flip, the shackles and whips, auction blocks and bargain ships. So blood killer, rise up, crip killer, rise up. No more bucks, caskets and tucks, for heavy is the toll for running amok because of colors. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without proper content to bless you, but I'm still the barber of the Ville, still slugging like a Louisville, still above the limerick, verbally wick split misfits posing as wordsmiths, for I'm still the czar who raised the bar over shallow reservoirs, who talks about Mars with low radars but couldn't reach a star if they were kissing cousins to a quasar, couldn't hit a note if they were Julio and glaciers, for I'm still a no-limit soldier slash wordsmith and sculptor, pen mightier than the Glock in your holster, yet they pose to be eclectic, but they only alphabetic, so I bring the antiseptic to the naysayers, turn the haters, the Quakers, and non-believers, the prostators, who pay homage to personas that futuristic like Nostradamus. My words flip like a bullwhip matador. Unorthodox metaphors get locked off my southpaw. For they on the inside, but I'm on the outside of the margin, having that grandma begging pardon for draft dodging. I'll still run rings around orbits, suspend them like ornaments, for 1,000 sheets is less absorbent. Like come on, chameleons, they become reptilians between philosophers and comedians, make with artificial ingredients, but I'm still the phenomenon who mastered the lexicon in all echelons, turning vagabonds to pantheons. But I'm too much, too late, and too blatant, yet still bringing the heat to Satan, and they making more noise than Iron Maiden.
When I was a kid, my stepfather swore he would build me a treehouse. He wasn't really my stepfather, just a man my mother loved, but the way he broke a promise felt like chopping wood. So I believed him. You see, first he said there wasn't enough wood. So I dragged home branches and pallets until the truth splintered my fingers. Second, he said he would teach me to do it myself. He handed me a coping saw, but not a coping skill, so I learned how to cut myself before I learned what to do with the pain. But I kept building. chanting, I am the architect of my own dreams. And when I stepped onto the makings of a floor, I learned what it meant to fall. Growing up, I never had a treehouse in my backyard, just plywood reminders of how fragile dreams and promises could be. It's funny, Jesus' stepfather was a carpenter. And I wonder if he ever had a treehouse in his backyard, or if he learned how it felt to nail his hands to wood long before he was supposed to. The men our mothers loved, leaving lessons in their sawdust smiles. And maybe we were the tattered tree houses they built, all broken home and weak foundation, reminders of how fragile dreams and promises can be.
And just who might you be? Another handsome suitor sent here to pursue me? Answer truthfully, I just might let you peruse me. Sorry if that's uncouth, you'll have to excuse me. I inhaled too much dust, now my life is a movie. Seduce me, refuse me. Everything moves me. Before I lose touch, please feel free to abuse me. Life is so groovy. My eyelids are drooping. My lips are hot coals, and your kisses amuse me. I'm losing my mind and my heart in a koozie. I'm off the road cruising. I've lost the plot truly. Synapses percolate and pop. My head's a jacuzzi. Everything is spinning. Everything is moving. Everything's a sin and everything is woozy. Fuck, is this really the path that I'm choosing? Locked in the bathroom, the party is booming. Talking to shadows, the sunlight eludes me. I'm alone in the dark. Can I keep up the ruse and stave off reality before it consumes me? Vamos, bonita. Mami arriba, quiero ahogar en su piscina cálida de su flor on the floors, on the wall, on the ceiling, ass thick as semen, I mean cement. I swear, please believe I'm a demon. Paradise lost and found in the middle of the sheets end. A question for the day ends. Well, in my brain it's baked in. Is it really homophobic if I only go for straight men? Sloppy and clandestine, 2 nights at the days, and we wake in a daze, and I see your flag raising again. But I gotta go, my work's across the pavement, but I can't say no to sweets. 2 cents for oatmeal raisin. Food, a bit of doom injected with hilarity. Posterity is evident, proceed with precarity. If dad asks, it's an act. I'm not a fag, bitch, I'm cowardly, but let's get back to business because my salary is hourly. A salad tossed with sour seed and topped with force of stellar feed. The live feed's too gory, I can't more than allegory read. Put in a load of holy work, call me Stanley Yelnats. Arms on corners like we sold a cash to the lab rats. Young and dumb and fun we run until our fucking knees hurt. Eve came from ribs, you and me came from free dirt. I flee and I in tears burst. I swear I must be the worst. Maybe next time I will swell with pride and not just blood come desert. God, what is this flesh you saw fit to have given me? As rich as the heavens be, you still gifted me misery. I'm a prisoner in my head, and my body doesn't elicit the happiness it used to, so now I'm sitting pensively with a pencil in my offhand, trying my best not to pillory myself. So you have a wealth of reasons to deliberately shelf all self-empathy. See, here there is a history of slip-ups to the nth degree, enough to fill a symphony, to hold myself in infamy, and I know there's no epiphany to save me from backsliding, back again into the pit I've seen, in nightmares in my daylit dreams, my teeth grit, my fists squeeze, my heart grieves, my mind bleeds, my soul cries, my skin screams. God, please tell me candidly, what is it that you want from me? Why was I put here? Please answer quick and literally. That's if you're even listening. That's if I'm wrong in the belief you don't exist. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you see my history. I hope you see my infamy. I hope you see my symphony. And I hope you still have empathy enough to still deliver me.
I didn't know you existed until you came in the mail in a box. 9-year-old me was puzzled by the box. He came in thinking it was some form of holiday cheer after having to bury an uncle on Christmas Eve. Curiosity clawing at the chalkboards of my mind, I asked Dad, "What's inside the box, Dad?" He slowly picked up the package with a blank yet somber disposition and said, "That's your brother and other sister." The glow that lit up the kitchen brighter than the ceiling lamp, I asked, "Are you telling me the store gave us 2 eggs to hatch? Am I going to be an older brother?" "No," Dad replied with an exasperated sigh. What I was about to hear would crumble my sense of reality. Before you were born, you had a brother and another sister, but they died. To think that I embraced you both, not knowing that it was the first time I physically came in touch with the kin I never knew, still feels weird to this day. This was also the first time I heard and learned about Down syndrome and heart defects, about medical malpractice and lawsuits, about cremation and your names. This is also the first time in my life I was speechless, and I wasn't equipped to bear the weight of this truth. My memory fades out until New Year's Eve 1999, when our parents and our older sister Vanessa and I went to a church where there was this service for you. This was the second straight Friday morning which I was in a church. This will also be the last time, for I began to connect churches to death and tears running down Mom and Vanessa's faces. However, unlike the week before, Dad didn't cry for you two. I wouldn't know until much later that Dad isn't necessarily the best father figure. You two are lucky to have not known the father the way Vanessa and I have. In fact, I'll go on the record saying he's the type of guy who finds it inconvenient when he attends to a medical situation that his wife, our mom, is going through, whether it be falling or breaking an arm, or the number of times she's had to drive herself to the emergency room with kidney stones. He's also the type to not promote growth, but promote this idea of family's everything, and family comes first, but in which reality, it was him that comes first. Childhood trauma turned him into an emotionally numb narcissist, a poison cloud that infected our household and killed our mom's spirit. A part of me fears of how you would have been treated, I hope you would have not been neglected in life as you were in death. It took me 12 years to unite you both with our family, with no effort or help from Mom and Dad, only to abandon your ashes and have you dispersed without Vanessa and I knowing a damn thing until recently. You two are lucky to have not known our father the way Vanessa and I have. Although our time together may have been short, I hope we could have gotten along. I hope we could have had precious childhood memories together. No matter what challenges you would have faced in life, I would have given you my unwavering support. We are of the same bloodline. My brotherly love for you is infinite and unconditional. Somos familia siempre en la vida y después. Nos amamos mucho. Tu hermano, Andresito.
They say in 9th century China, gunpowder was created, first used for medicinal purposes, remedy for headaches. A few years later was produced for warfare. I asked myself, how many times did organs implode before maniacal madmen decided to set powder ablaze, smelling the impact of ammunition, vaccines enveloping homes in flames, becoming cannons, tools of genocide? I'll never look at medicine the same. Can't shake the thought of my aspirin being loaded into guns, a painful killer. Fired at a congregation, classroom, an aisle of shoppers, I can feel the reverb of screams. Broken background, a barrage of breaking news segments, mass murder infesting our families, grief served repeatedly. Graves submerged in regret, GSR stained hands, war in Palestine, Congolese brutally displaced, all these babies considered collateral damage, research lab rats to be dissected. When is enough enough? The end to the inoculation of black powder into the marrow of society. When will wrong be considered wrong, no matter the amendment? Price tag, spilled oil rig. It's like being stuck between a bullet and a bullet. So me, knowing despair, how can I not fight fire with fire, unable to suppress this coughing disease of terror, pneumonia, shrapnel in the lungs of nations like gray mucus, shell casings found wrapped in IV bags. Saline solution thick and black. Sugar can't help this go down. Honey laced with C4. It's a hard pill to swallow. To watch designs flame across the sky, mutate memorable moments into morbid memorials. I didn't want to write this poem. Couldn't live in space, this past to present reality, but the visuals of small, bloody, sheet-covered bodies wouldn't afford me sleep. Can't keep ignoring the mental erosion caused by the sick, equipped with firepower, bullies who ally with bullies, the contradictory posture of a government who won't allow women to be in charge of their bodies, but will fund the murder of innocent children, piled up by the millions. Spending billions to remedy the world of free enterprise cities, bombed into dust, a mixture of plasma, potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur. Imagine being the creator of a substance used to play God. You know, genius and sick fuck. They say gunpowder is considered to be one of the 4 greatest inventions of China. I bet inner city mothers and the children in Gaza would beg to differ.
Auntie said, trust is a glass house where people hold stones waiting to hide hands and watch house crumble. I kept letting people in, leaving their footprints on my bare floors, tracking dirt on my soul, wiping muddy intentions on my heart's doormat. See, I believed in warmth of handshakes, but their grips were cold, slick like promises that slipped through like oil on water, leaving stains I couldn't scrub out. She told me man will fail you every time. I laughed it off, thinking her words were just made of brittle bones, old folk tales meant to scare young. Life, life has a way of making you understand a little too late, though, slapping you across the face, bringing you back to reality. My trust was a worn out currency spent on people who couldn't pay back in love and loyalty. Transactions with insignificant funds, betrayal receipts I kept, proof every debt leaves you broken in ways deeper than money would allow. God's the only friend you've got, she whispered. Yet I didn't listen close enough. Too busy building bridges leading me nowhere, standing on shaky grounds, not capable of holding heaviness of their betrayal, while God stood still anchored, only thing keeping me from drifting too far. My trust was like a blind man walking on glass, each step fragile, cracking under weight of expectations. But see, trust isn't something that breaks, it shatters, cuts deep, leaving scars you can't see, even though you always feel each open wound. My auntie said, girl, you keep playing with fire thinking you won't get burned. And I guess I thought flames were pretty until they licked at my fingertips, turned my good intentions into ash, left me wondering why I ever reached out to begin with. God's the only friend who never fails, she said. I kept knocking on doors he kept locked, kept handing out keys to people who never planned to stay. Turns out, only door was ever open was one I refused to walk through, where God waited on the other side, arms wide like home. Now I see. Only friend who holds steady when world tilts is one who built me from inside out. One who never asked for trust but deserves it in full. And I spent years handing out pieces of my faith like candy to people with cavities in their hearts. Auntie was right. Man will fail you every time. Promises break like dawn after a sleepless night. And love without God as center is like chasing wind. You'll never catch it. But see, God's always there, silent but steady, like a lighthouse in a storm, guiding me back home when I lose sight. A true friend whose loyalty is woven in my soul, unbreakable, no matter how much the world falls apart.
The heart is a portal of abundance and truth, the past, present, future, based in one's inner youth. Past and present versions carrying scars that fade. Times of triumph from pain, healing was the trade. Regardless of the source of pain, doesn't every being want change? Change, where one can feel free, allowing the being within to just be, choosing the look, My cat is bothering me. Choosing to look in the heart inside, putting down swords and past pride. See the times marked when one desired love, shining a light on the importance of self love. Feeling the warmth within, breaking old chains once built in. Listen to the inner voice whispering love, choosing love inside and above.
Sometimes cigars are just cigars, like Freud said. A boy turned man still sleeping in mom's bed. Sometimes I pine over the fact that I'm not dead. I'm well read, educated, full of enough cred, abilities to command synthetic symmetry. It's humbling, the essential part of me nobody likes to see. When it rears its head, everyone is an enemy. They're filled with enmity. The animus is on a CD that looms on loop in the back of my brain electronically. I'm hopelessly paralyzed. I know there's something wrong with the way I feel about everything. I plead, what is wrong with me, as blaring siren peal repeals my rationality? Can I hope for change? And is it fixable? It's part of me. The play's the thing, and I always hate not knowing how to be. I'm sentient, fully aware, and beginning to see exactly how I smile and wave to hide misplaced anxiety. I shouldn't be around other people. I'm a flight risk, subtly climbing in their head and hiding there like a benign cyst. It's devilish, I'm charming, but I'm also selfish. If I sell fish, I'm fishing my hand in the charity jar for $1.06. Why should they get it anyway when they don't pay rent? I've given enough to hospitals at this point. It's ridiculous that I should break my back to piss away my hard-earned bucks to this. I have a sixth sense that says I shouldn't give my 6 cents to sick kids. My neurons fire across crisscrossed lattices. I follow up cogent thought with non sequitur tangents. It's uncanny how I link things and expect others to manage or even fathom the fathoms deep hair holes of a mind manic. But here I go again. So why don't you all take a pass at stepping a beat inside my head as I step through the looking glass? I'm not a rapper. I'm a poet, a word adapter, a hapless addict rapping seamless syntax that doesn't tatter, but never sees the light of day. It's lightning that I'm after as I seize the swirling seas in my head comprised of idle chatter. I seldom canter, I air pedantic. I'm after a calling beyond a spot in the echo chambers of mindless chowder. Let's right away cut to the lean soul and write rhymes fatter than mad lads leaping high off of tall ladders, their ankles shattered. But all this style without substance contains no heart, no candor. It's by and large just the same, empty drivel passing for witty banter. If I could dribble just a moment on this tangent matter, rhyming for the sake of style proves no easy endeavor, but only with the touch of a deft hand, light as a feather, may it come together, all at the very end, and for that be better. But even the best distractions must retire. When the thrill abates, life returns with a tire iron. I'm convinced that in a past go, I must have played with fire and stoked the ire of a being higher than I after inhaling a rail of barbed wire. The bump leaves me elated. Glory, sings the choir. It has its eyes on me, but I'm so goddamn tired. My vision narrows and I cannot seem to sire a plan to emerge victorious from the quagmire. What can I say? Self-amnesty is hard for me. In my cardboard packaging, grace came hardly. I was dropped a drop on the doorstep of a house party where I graced a happy home, a most unfortunate adoptee. What's the point of getting good things given heartily when for some non-inchoate part of me, my success is not what it wants to see? I've lost morale before, but these wounds bleed mortally. I'm morally opposed to not stopping the problem, but the problem's me. Hello, how are you? I'm pleased to meet you so cordially. You can call me Icarus. Please avail yourself of my canopy. From my perch, I view the earth with utter apathy. Colors and shapes I don't relate to threaten my sanity. I'm not really a part of your world, only partially, insofar as my being here, bereft of any sincerity, can seriously be considered as more than anomaly and verily. Is he a waste of imparity, he who cares nothing for his posterity? I've given myself too many reasons for new austerity. My polarity pollutes my life with too much severity, self-barbarity of endless temerity and asperity. Hospice can provide me no care. I mean this is verity. If this is all there is for me, there is no angularity. I understand the decision to cease my cellularity. And if things do go that way, I can hope to tender meager clarity in the form of 4 more pseudo-sonnets offered voluntarily.
When a bear attacks a human, they're euthanized due to the severity of the incident. A bear that attacks a human will begin to see humans as a food source and return to that source of food over and over. When a man attacks a woman, she is questioned, doubted, judged, asked a series of questions, including, but not limited to, what was she wearing? What was she doing out so late? She's sure she said no. She must have done something, and he too will return to that source of food over and over again. It is no wonder a woman would choose a 900-pound beast to play survival with in the middle of the woods, rather be towered over by an 8-foot giant than a 6-foot coward, rather be ripped apart by 4-inch claws than bare hands. Should a bear consume your flesh, you know it isn't personal. It's not because your dress was too short, because you told them no, because dinner wasn't ready on time, or you wouldn't stop laughing. It will not kidnap you, lock you in a basement, torture and rape you like Leonard Lake. Will not strangle you in the middle of the woods like Gary Ridgway. Will not pretend to love you, then drug you to the point of unconsciousness to have you violated. It's just because it's in their nature. The most common reasons for bears to attack are when they're threatened, hungry, or protecting their young, as they too are preyed upon by predatory men. The nature of man has always been to dominate, to exert power over, ever since Lilith was exiled for trying to be more equal than submissive, since they erased her from history and used Eve as the scapegoat to villainize women, blame us for having fatherless children, like women be the reptile that cursed humanity, yet some men think they are the safety option. In America, there is approximately 1 fatal black bear attack per year. The odds of being attacked by a bear at Yellowstone National Park is 1 in 2.1 million, while 1 out of 3 women have experienced violence against them. In 2022, almost 500,000 women that we know of were raped or sexually assaulted in the US. 90% of adult rape victims are female. And what is particularly common is, when it comes to sexual assaults or murder, many victims know their assailants. Somehow, a bear hug be safer than a hug from a man you think you know. Could have called them father, uncle, or brother. Could have woke beside a lover undercover, meaning they shared hellos, how I use, and even I love yous. Shared laughs, hugs, space, memories. And there was no warning of the violence waiting for them. No growls or roars or heavy steps, no rustling in leaves, just heavy breaths ravaged by a familiar face, preyed upon while praying. As we're walking home from work or school or playing with dolls, the crude nature of a man to hunt down fresh flesh and warm bodies, and most times they don't even need a weapon, just bare hands.
I was born in the silence between breaths, a small whisper in the dark, unformed and unsure. A fragment, a shadow, a shell waiting to break. I wore doubt like a second skin, heavy and tight, but the weight became the cocoon. And I knew deep down, this was the start of my flight. They say transformation is a slow burn, a crawling, aching, shedding of self, but mine felt like wildfire. The spark of change hit, and suddenly I was ablaze, lighting up corners I never knew existed, turning scars into constellations, mapping out the sky of who I'm becoming. I was once the echo of other people's words, but now my voice ripples like waves, uncontained. I shed the old stories, the ones I told myself, that I was too small, too quiet, too afraid. I found strength in my fragility, power in my softness. The cracks in my armor let the light flood in. The butterfly doesn't mourn the caterpillar, and I won't mourn the version of me that couldn't fly. I honor her, the girl who survived, who hid in the dark. But I am no longer that girl. I am the breaking dawn, Wings open wide, no longer afraid of the fall, because I know now I am the sky and I am the storm, a metamorphosis in every breath, and I am still becoming. So here I stand, raw and real, the old skin at my feet, the past a memory, and the future a canvas, wide and wild. I am the change, the alchemy of pain into power, a revolution in slow motion, a rebirth without end. This is my metamorphosis, my rise, and I am ready for the next flight.
And the Latino voter says he will not deport everyone, just the criminals. It is not my job to remind him, but I do, that when the ones getting rid of the criminals also make the laws, no one is safe. I do not remind him of Martin's time in Birmingham jail, the raid that killed Fred Hampton, the death of Trayvon Martin. No, you see, when the war comes to your doorstep, it will not knock gently, won't ring doorbells or sing into your door cam. No, it will come crashing through your rooftop and bury you in the rubble. A bullet will not ask you who you voted for and what policies you believe in before it makes impact. America will re-educate and indoctrinate your children. Your privilege will crumble into apologies for those who saw it coming, who wear hindsight across their chests and name their swords compassion and empathy. When the Latino voter says, but the Constitution says all men are created equal, I hate to tell them they never saw us as human, always saw us as property, a means to an end, 3/5 of a vote, but still a vote. But it doesn't matter, because with the war comes crashing through my window and the Latino voter says nothing. Because it's too late. And this whole poem is a wasted breath, because we spent too much time trying to tell others how to save themselves. There is no one left to save us. We keep building classrooms instead of a coalition, students instead of soldiers, because every side thinks the other side is too stupid to fight. So when the Latino voter, the Black voter, the woken class voter says anything, next time, if there is one, shut up and listen.
White wailing, weightless, teetering, helter-skelter, out of tune, awfully off key, keel in kilter, engine pace edging out, panting wheels, head over heels he fell, plumb down the well, into a delightfully decadent deluge of delicious delusion. At his lowest point, he met a lovely lass, a lush in recovery, though he had recovered not from the store of sore lashings left behind by his lusciously lashed lust. He allowed love once more to from a powdered whore's ventricular spigot spring, and out a torrent poured. And for a moment, he entirely forgot he had ever been hoisted overboard. Brazilian waxing poetic across the silver film behind my eyes, I revisit our time together, pawing breathlessly as grain by grain all of me seeped from your hourglass figure, hurling glass walls at brick bottles graffitied with Exodus 14:14. I wait impatiently for something to come unglued. Until the last drop, I do not recognize the back of my own hand. I say, not me, not I, for there is none like myself, triumvirate. I am the objector, the objective, and the exception. Amen. But since then, I've made quite the progression. I long for daylight and no longer find my worth in my depression. You inspired me to get past all the pitiful transgressions and be the me that people love, but only got to see in sessions and for seasons. The reason for the changes, all the lessons that I took from your leaving. See, I made it my sole mission to, if we met again, be in a place where you'd make the election to forgive me. And thus I trust assuage my still obsession. Do you ever think of me? I still dream of us in the same room. Does that frighten you? Or do you find it romantic? Am I tragic? Or am I a parasite? A dust mite? A device to foment revulsion? Or worse? You feared me in the end. You cared for me once. Deeply, you intimated. Really, really, like a lot, you said. Did someone get to you? Or am I just being paranoid? I miss you. I'll say it again for the people in the back. I miss you. Funny, I hardly knew you. Funny, I think I may have loved you. Eventually.
My name is Andres Reyes, and I am an addict. I'm addicted to the feeling of pen on paper, juicy words that the page will savor, cream poetry that influences radical behavior. You see, when it's passion, it's never a labor. So let's take artistic expression straight, no chaser, and scream the eternal cries resting within Mother Nature. May all our poems be star-destined prayers that become future lifesavers to the ones who may be our future engravers. I'm addicted to the community, the feeling of unrivaled unity, achieving spiritual immunity, not feeling like a minority, the wonderful souls and personalities where every day feels like a ceremony, celebrating our humanity. I'm addicted to the energy of comfortably showing vulnerability, relaying hurts into healing creatively, and relaying that into a frequency from minds to throats to technology to the world around me, with the hope that maybe, just maybe, my words can provide validity in someone's reality. I'm addicted to poetry. Can you feel me? I mean, my system refuses to make antibodies for the creative bug that embodies all of me. I'm addicted to poetry and the ability it gives me to be a little wild, a little crazy, testing language and pushing it to its boundaries just to see what it could be for shits and giggles and scientific theory. I'm addicted to poetry and spiritual liberty it brings to me. I am a word junkie whose only fix is poetry. Again, my name is Andres Reyes, and I am an addict, for there is no high in the world that compares to spoken word.
How many times have we watched a mother pat her son on the head before sending him to a bout, building boy confidence, calling him pretty, cheering as he floors his way to the ring, praise over his gloves, says swing, swing for the stars, jab, jab until you find an opening, an opportunity, a fair shot. Stay on your toes, chin down, keep your spirits up. Don't let them steal your joy, boy. You better bob and weave. The gun line starts where grass meets sidewalk. Finish the round strong, without rounds in you. Please make it home. If a black man gets nailed on this canvas, and all you see is black, is it his fault? Is he heard? Or does justice continue to sit ringside wearing skin coat bought from selling tombstones, Queensberry? American dream rules don't allow fair. Just drops its guard when sidestepped correctly, but most times counterpunching would leave your bell cracked and make you more empty shell than Balboa, unbalanced in a country whose fighting style is more Tyson than Ali. Watch your ears and what you listen to. Don't let the lies beat you sluggish. The ring girl is blind and French. She won't speak your language and will tip her scales in their favor. It'll take a lifetime of training to go round for round in a slugfest against this slew-footed, pigeon-toed southpaw with a moonshine left hand. Most mornings, you'll need smelling salts to wake up from the fight before. We'll have to hire a cut man to stuff prayers where allegiance leaves effulgence, putting the cold stop on the black eye cheap shots imposed on our culture. No one told us the First Amendment ain't for us. Using it might get you canceled. I mean, KO'd, hands taped, and steel bracelets. No wonder why every black child is born with black trunks, got a out everlast left cross combos out the womb. Wonder if Jack Johnson knew we would still be sparring monkey references. Maybe that's why he dated all them white women, so he could yell eyes to pappy at the weigh-in, his form of a low blow, some get back for his invention being reduced to primate. Funny how this International Bigotry Federation makes us use 12-ounce while they stay bare knuckle. Just a look at all these sugar rays robbed of their sun, their light choked into becoming streaming fruits, viral reels foxed into being rabbit punched out of their weight class head butted into eminent domain. Rather us be lightweight, feather in the ass, punch drunk, slipping Mickeys into our boxing shoes in the locker rooms, making it easier to push us up against the ropes, outlawed the rope-a-dope. Now they call it resisting, sickening how hopping Bob Roy's a chance to speed bag our bodies, sending spirits aerial at our trauma's expense, only to Marciano themselves a fury blue hero. You see, this is America. When they say pat, you better pat to the anthem with your heart beating like a riot. You better patriot against your rights. Place your hand over your heart, even if it's broken. And they may let you weather the storm through these undefeated hurricanes, but you get your footwork together. Ain't no compromise when they show how all 3/5 is only fit for heavy bags and jump ropes, how adding the 13th round makes us more slave than champion. Where's revolution? You better not throw in the towel. I know it won't be televised, but I'm here for the main event.
Life will throw punches, and our bodies will respond, not only with words, but with something deeper. A vast flood of emotions reminds us we're human, that we are gifted with the present, alive, breathing, even when the breath is heavy with regrets. Feelings flood through twists and turns, roller coasters sliding off its tracks. The highs are dizzying, and the lows are suffocating. One phase, you're floating, light as the clouds in the air. The next, drowning in the sea of overthinking and what ifs. They aren't just reactions, they are signals, beacons of fire and messages. One should not be afraid to hear. We numb our emotions and push them down, pretending they aren't there. But avoidance has a cost. Communication frays like the old rope, the knots of misunderstanding tightening. And soon, you don't even recognize your own reflection. Excuse me. The inner being now boiling over, and it's like standing in a fire screaming silently. Debris everywhere, pieces of self scattered, a wreckage you never saw coming, a disaster built in silence. The anger, the rage, it starts small, just a flicker, a spark. But left unchecked, it blazes, consuming every bit of love you once held dear. Hate seeps in through the cracks, first a whisper, then a roar, drowning out the softness that used to be there, the yelling, the screaming. It's the sound of love leaving the room, replaced by a version of you you never wanted to meet. Safety. It's the baseline, the foundation. Without it, we're in survival mode, starving, grasping for scraps of comfort, but emotions can't thrive here. They twist into something darker, something that turns on you once and on those you love. You have to feel it to heal it. Let it flow through like a river finding its path. Hold on to the bitterness too long, and the words you speak become weapons. Dagger sharp, cutting deeper than you know. Paying attention to what lingers, the energy you hold on to. It echoes into the world, and it can leave others hollow, lost in the ripples of your storm. Let it go. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary for you, for them, for the version of you that's still becoming.
I'm sick and tired of this. I've held them all, from young to weary, from men with fists of rage to boys with trembling hands. I remember George. George, just 14 years old, child too small for my seat, feet dangled like broken roots, his eyes wide with questions, seeking understanding no one dared to answer. I've been there, quiet as their last breath kissed air, wooden frame etched in history's silence, hands tied down to arms always seemed heavier than bodies I've carried to the other side. I've watched their courtroom dramas unfold, where truth bent beneath weight of power. They sat up on me, innocence stained by guilty hands, signed their fates with ink made of prejudice. Judge spoke, yet justice never answered. I've held bodies, but their souls slipped away long before switch was ever pulled. Air crackled, not just with electricity, but with weight of history, of centuries bleeding, staining my surface red, each splinter a scar, each creak a memory too heavy to bear. I'm witness to pain no gavel could silence, to violence hidden beneath robes of those who call themselves righteous. I've carried the condemned, but never their guilt. I bear weight of whispers, names engraved deep within my framework, stories threaded through my grain, like George Steiny Jr., Samuel Holmes, Mary Turner, Troy Davis, Marcellus Williams, faces I'll never forget, their lives tangled in fibers of my timbers, their tears bloodied and heavy, wove into my worn frame, etching stories no one dared to hear. Each drop a testament, each stain a scar left by a justice unanswered and unserved. And I'm bound to hear them all. And I hold them close. Through trials skewed and verdicts swift, I've been silent keeper. Last touch felt, first to let go when they pass. Yet here I stand, unchained, unfeeling, forever bound by unforgiving memories no fire could ever cleanse and no judge could ever erase. Who am I?
Okay, this poem is called Higher Ups. There's no one around. I've never felt so found. I feel cloaked in darkness, like the ooze that sticks to my lungs after I smoke. Sitting on my bed, thinking of the dead, the living, and the in-between. I'm only 16, so why are these thoughts plaguing my mind? The ones that make me feel blind to the kindness and beauty of Earth. Everything hurts. I need money, I need food, water, shelter, and a job. These motherfuckers are trying to rob me of what it is to be a soul. I want to run naked in the forest and catch my food. Sure, it's hard, but it'd be better than this rat race of life that stole my dignity and confidence. There's no consequence for the higher ups. They make all these fucking rules up. Pay for this, pay for that, work until you're dead. What kind of person would do that instead of living freely, peacefully? But that doesn't matter here. I'm gonna make a new world. Just watch the beauty unfurl.
Growing up, I played Mad Libs and listened to Mad Villainy. Taught myself to ad-lib and experimented lyrically. Wicked lines to break the wicked lines but make it sexy. Re-inspired at 23. Recently, I turned, and in 40 years, I'll be 60. Recently, I turned 25. That's assuming that I'm still alive and not buried beneath the floorboards. I refuse to rest on my laurels. It's my duty to continue improving my little shop of floral flows and benedictions Cumberbatch. Sure. Locked behind a promising young talent, imbibes twice a day to quiet a mind impious frantic, and ain't that just the way? It's always heyday when you're on tour. Life's a parade for a soul often taciturn, but nonetheless convivial, apparently. It's imperative that they keep searching for the beauty in the world, not consuming or engaging only with what the monologue is saying. Pray for me. purposefully, personally, I'm sick of baying at the gates of a God who cannot be bothered to acknowledge my cries. A case of white lies predicated on more white lies. Classic. There's entendre there if you even care to read between the lines. No pressure. I know you're busy and I wish not to waste your time. It's precious to me because you are precious to me. See, without you, I'm nothing. I need you to validate my art, to tell me that it's worth the blood, sweat, and tears, that is something bigger than me. To be told that I'm worthy, that these anxieties can't hurt me or touch me. Have I earned your trust? Am I trustworthy? Am I believable? Someone has to be, right? So do I command your belief? Or am I just another fiction? To my Baroque baby brother, whom I smothered in the ribs, I was going on 18. You were only 6 teenagers, both sick mortally, but old enough to know better. Weathering each other's weather just became the status quo. It's too bad, really, and though I'm still reeling, I'm glad for you. I sincerely hope it's better. Your life without me in it. Is it true that I too may be better off bereft of your presence? On whom now am I to lavish presents whene'er I'm feeling altruistic? I'm too generous for a hedonist, for an idiot, a ventriloquist. So silly it's looking back. It's so goddamn pretty in the rear view. At least I gained some modicum of enjoyment out of it before it up and dove nose first out of the back window. That metaphor examined blurs, but I'll forever stand beside my words, for I'm a goofball with conviction. Sam Adams on the Rockwell is fine. I'm on a mission. I'm desperate for admission to a specific sphere of religion, an earnest coterie. A movable meal for souls of artist manifest who bleed ink until their canvas is properly soaked through. Workshopping whatever they deem as less a test. I'm confident I not now pass. I'm insecure, I'm diffident, and I think you know the gaze deep into my soul through these pasteurized words until my rasterized green eyes deliver unto you new worlds. Hey, look only at the screen in front of you. Single file lines. You hear that? Sit down when the teacher's talking. I hear teaching's the best way to learn, so maybe it's time I take a turn and cut my teeth on cafeteria lunch meat, no sanitary salad option or eager lunch ladies to make ends meet daily. They work for 2 salaries, minimum wage for working overtime hourly. How cowardly, the flowery, omniscient powers that be. But industry is nothing in the face of true artistry. But it's a man's world. And men love shiny things, shiny suits, and shiny cars. With a handful of windfall provides flush in shiny spades. Tip a dollar, till a seed, save a life, shade yourself under a prepaid debit card. Discover that the cover image is a royal blue Corvette, an American reimagining of a coquette show set in the pounding heart of Amsterdam. Am I proud to be an American? Am I proud to be here? I know myself, and I'm hardly proud to be me, but what is America? What is pride? Maybe I really wasn't there. I swear I was, but I suppose it doesn't matter since everything is caught on camera nowadays. I'm spiraling in circles, don't know which way yet. Check back in a couple days. I'll try my best to paraphrase.
I'm depending on this art to heal the broken bones I write these poems with, to correct the sagging spine I've been dragging around in bags made of paper. The Messiah is somewhere between the web of my fingers and the back of my eyelids, a belief that makes folklore quiver. Sometimes God hides in my tongue, but I need him to be present in this brain, leaking of grief and denial, this heart beating life out of my veins, like it's giving me something to cry for. I need this art to save me once again. I need these pencils to draw me a new happy, this needle and thread to sew my living back together. I've been spending my days with dementia, hands made of mirrors, don't know who they belong to when my eyes look for a familiar face, don't know what purpose is. I forgot what it is to breathe without life floating on the breeze of my breath, forgot what it is to be a creator. I need God to show me how to Genesis, how all he had was darkness to paint with, and still let there be light. These days I be hanging off a cliff, and this pen be the only hand strong enough to keep me up from the plummet. Ink refusing to let me sink, won't let me down no matter how close I get to the sun. The lead in this pencil be my therapy, be the palace of my peace, the only thing sturdy enough to straighten this vertebrae I've been dragging around in sorrow. The blueprints flying around in my brain are the only things that comfort me. They speak my love language. Even on days I need to peel it from my tongue. I need this art to save me over and over again.
I made it home safe. Didn't feel a shock or boom, so I dropped and prayed. Remembering the summers of my youth, riding bikes to the corner store with a gang of friends. It wasn't a gang back then, but we were deep. At least 15 or so back when days sounded like yo mama jokes and ice cream trucks and wind chimes tasted like 50-cent bags of penny candy. And don't forget the infamous ghetto mix. A shopping bag full of no less than 4 25-cent bags of chips playing tackle football in empty fields, trying not to fall on the patch of grass with the needles that itched and hurt until you took a bath. I think they called it stinging nettle. We would play through the pain until nightfall, coming up with ways to ask if my friends could spend the night. My mother would meet us at the door with open arms. Home always feeling like home cooking, and a mother's love, warmth, wrapped in a smile. She gave us all hugs before telling us that we smelled like little boys and little bears, told us we were unkempt like no one loved us. Don't touch my furniture before getting in the tub, she would say. As we laughed until our sides hurt, I remember when cops double parked to hand out bazooka bubble gum and sports cards back when they actually lived in the neighborhood before moving away, before they changed to walk the beat, when we looked at them like heroes and even wanted to be like them. I remember when it changed, when bubblegum turned my tongue vulgar, made me forget the smell of home. A cop would tell me for the first time to empty my pockets, called me nigger, slammed me against the car. I was 10. From then, the hugs felt different. It was never the same, and every year it got worse. Do you know what it's like to look down the barrel of a white man's police-issued smug smile? To view projectile profanity meant to take your life, it squeezes through blue teeth and rolls off gunmetal tongues. What do you do when all your power is taken? The future power you thought you might have. The reason you were told to eat your vegetables. Were told not to cry. Robbed of your innocence. Who will apologize for my innocence? To the change in perspective. From begging for a cap gun to feeling like I need a Glock. No safety for safety. Knowing that every day I gotta put on black. This epidermis of cursed greatness. Paint on this smile. Straighten this back. Switch code. The only time I'm not the color is when I'm sleeping in my bed. Even then, my dreams become darker than blue, the hue of which leaking into guarded days. Mama don't got a good enough answer for this. Never could tell me why my black is viewed as a danger to society's well-being. Only could tell me that this is how things go. Said things like, stay safe, keep your circle small. You are judged by the company you keep. You know, the black mother's fear for her son's life mantra on repeat had a robotic tone mixed with a horrified glare adorned with a tear. There has to be a gut-wrenching feeling to know that your protection can only go so far. Now a man having sons, having to raise them, feeling the need to answer every one of their questions with the fear of them asking just two. Why are people racist? What does nigger mean? Knowing any answer I provide won't be good enough. Won't stop them from looking at the world different. Might make them a little more unforgiving. Force them to want Glocks instead of super soakers. Crave the feeling of no safety for safety. Can't stand the thought of my boys leaving the earth before I do. Can't let the world change the taste of their bubblegum. So I tell them, stay safe. Keep your circle small. You are judged by the company you keep, and it's okay. It's okay, baby. You can cry when things get overwhelming, not just when blood is involved, when you don't know what else to do. It's okay. It's okay not to have all the answers. The toughest thing you can do is make it home. And please, please, eat your vegetables.
Life can be vibrant, full of colors we can't quite describe. A palette of moments that speak without words. Some shades pierce deep, red like a wound, sharp like the silence that follows loss. Life isn't neat. It's not a straight line. It twists, it fractures, it burns. A scorch mark here, a burn scar there. Proof of the journey, proof of surviving. Darkness, too, becomes part of the canvas. Don't hide it in shame, let it breathe. It shows us where the cracks are, the places where light can break through, where the soul has room to stretch and heal. Nourishment finds us in strange forms, in sunlight breaking through a storm. In the quiet of a long night, nature reminds us that even in decay, there's beauty, that every flower, scarred or whole, tells its own story. Look closer at the cracks on each petal, stories etched by the wind, the rain, the sun's harsh light. It's in the damage we find real transformation, the kind that makes us different, that marks us as having lived. Petals fall one by one, each a story, each a loss. The imperfections tell of battles fought, of seasons survived, mapping out the journey scars. Out in the wild, in the forests and the mountains, nature doesn't hide from the decay. It wraps itself around the damage, forms new growth from old roots, where the flowers keep reaching, even when it's slow, even when the bloom fades to gray. Notice how the petals change, how each evolution carries its own weight. Life clings on, desperate and determined, even as the color fades, even as it turns brittle. The gray before the ash whispers of final truth, a wish for more time, more light. It's the last breath of hope before surrendering back to the earth, returning to the soil, where even in the loss, something new might bloom.